The asphalt shimmers like liquid glass under the 102-degree sun, heat waves rising from Highway 191 in hypnotic ribbons that blur the horizon into a mirage. Nothing moves in the Utah high desert except the distortion of superheated air and the small golden figure standing at the road's edge. Prince isn't begging. He's pleading. The 4-month-old lion cub rises on trembling hind legs, tiny paws clasped together at his chest in a gesture that looks almost human, almost prayer-like. His amber eyes, wide and glassy with something that can only be called desperation, track the first vehicle approaching from the north. A pickup truck with rusted fenders and a Confederate flag decal. The engine roars louder. Prince flinches, his paws clasp tighter, pressing against his chest so hard his dew claws dig into his own fur. This isn't a trick. This isn't adorable. This is survival. The truck doesn't slow down. 15 minutes later, a Jeep Wrangler approaches. Inside, 3 teenagers with their phones already out, filming through the open windows. They brake hard, laughing. "Dude, is that a cat?" The driver leans out. "Do the thing again, kitty." Prince obeys. He rises. He clasps. He trembles. You think he's asking for food? Look closer at his neck. That golden fur hides something underneath. Something leather. Something tight. That's not a dance. It's a flinch. This is so going on TikTok. The girl in the passenger seat shrieks with laughter. The driver flicks a lit cigarette butt out the window, missing Prince by inches, and guns the engine. The Jeep fishtails away in a cloud of dust and cruel laughter. The cigarette lands in a patch of dried sagebrush. A thin line of smoke begins to curl upward, invisible against the bleached sky. 20 minutes pass. A government convoy, 3 Forest Service trucks in formation, approaches from the south. Prince staggers to the center line. He rises. He clasps. The lead driver blasts the air horn. The sound is apocalyptic. Prince's legs buckle. He crashes onto his side, paws still pressed together, body convulsing. The radio crackles inside the truck cab. That's wildlife, not our jurisdiction. Keep moving. The convoy doesn't even brake. Prince drags himself upright, chest heaving. Behind him, the first tendril of gray smoke has thickened. The cigarette's ember has found oxygen. Then comes the black sedan. It appears suddenly, cutting through the heat shimmer like a blade. The driver sees the cub. Recognition flashes across his face. Not surprise, but confirmation. His eyes flick to the rearview mirror. His jaw tightens. He doesn't stop. Instead, he swerves. The sedan's tires scream as it veers onto the shoulder, bearing down on Prince at 60 miles per hour. The cub scatters into the ditch, tumbling over rocks and thorns. The sedan corrects course and accelerates away, leaving only the smell of burnt rubber and exhaust. Prince crawls back to the roadside. Blood trickles from a scraped paw. He rises on shaking legs. He clasps his paws. Behind him, the thin wisp of smoke has become a column. Orange flame licks at the base of the sagebrush, spreading in a hungry circle. And somewhere beyond the heat shimmer, tied to a telephone pole, something massive begins to stir. Officer Roy's cruiser is already doing 90 when the black sedan blows past the mile marker. The radar gun screams, reckless driving, felony speeds, 3 days until retirement, and Roy's chasing some maniac through the desert like he's got something to prove. Unit 47 in pursuit, northbound 191. Then he sees it, the golden shape on the road, the smoke rising behind it like a funeral pyre. Roy's foot hovers over the accelerator. The bust or the life? The sedan is disappearing into the shimmer. The promotion, the clean record, God damn it. He slams the brakes. The cruiser fishtails to a stop on the shoulder, 40 yards from the small figure. Roy kills the engine and steps into the furnace heat, one hand already moving toward his sidearm. He's seen coyotes out here, rabid, desperate. But this isn't a coyote. The cub doesn't run. It charges, straight at Roy's boots, tiny jaws open, not to bite, but to grab. Fabric tears as needle-sharp teeth clamp onto Roy's pant leg. The cub pulls, yanks. Those amber eyes lock onto Roy's face with an expression that shouldn't be possible on an animal. It's begging. Not for food. For help. Roy crouches. Easy now. His voice catches. Under the golden fur, hidden beneath the cub's jaw, is a leather collar studded with metal contacts. Burn probes. The kind used in underground fight rings. The kind that deliver voltage until obedience becomes reflex. The nausea hits first. Then the rage. Who did this to you? The wind answers instead, a hot gust that carries the smell of burning sage. Roy's head snaps up. The small fire has become a wall. Orange flames crawl across the desert floor in a widening arc. eating dried brush and skeletal tumbleweeds. The smoke is thicker now, black and oily. The cub releases Roy's pant leg and sprints toward the flames. "No, get back here." But the cub doesn't stop. It runs parallel to the fire line, heading towards something Roy hadn't noticed before. A telephone pole. Isolated. Ancient wood, scarred by decades of desert sun. And tied to that pole, Roy's breath stops. The lion is massive, 450 pounds of muscle and mane, bound to the wooden post by thick hemp rope. A wool blindfold covers its eyes, soaked dark with sweat and panic. The animal's chest heaves in rapid, shallow gasps. Hyperventilating. Overheating. Dying. Roy's training kicks in. Assess the threat. Secure the scene. Call for backup. Then he sees the rope. It isn't just tied to the pole. It runs through a metal loop bolted into the wood, then snakes back down, across the scorched earth, and disappears under the cub's collar. Roy's stomach drops. The rope connects them, and as the flames creep closer, the massive lion jerks against its restraints. The rope shifts, tightens. The cub whimpers, a sound like a child's sob, and the blindfolded king goes suddenly, impossibly still. Roy moves closer, boots crunching over brittle desert scrub, and the engineering of the nightmare reveals itself in horrifying detail. The rope around King's neck isn't a simple restraint. It's a slipknot, the kind that tightens under tension, that transforms a tug into a noose. The hemp runs upward through a rusted pulley, bolted to the telephone pole, then angles back down across 15 feet of burning earth to terminate at a steel ring welded onto Prince's collar. It's a kill trap. If the cub runs from the fire, the rope pulls. The noose tightens. The father dies. And Prince knows. Roy can see it in the way the cub positions himself. Not close enough to create slack, not far enough to create tension. A 4-month-old animal, calculating trigonometry with his father's life. The cub's eyes meet Roy's again, and there's something ancient in that gaze. Something that transcends species. Please. Understand. Hurry. The fire is no longer a distant threat. It's a living thing now, a low roar that vibrates through the soles of Roy's boots. Black smoke rolls across Highway 191 in thick curtains. The temperature has spiked past 110. Sweat streams down Roy's face, stinging his eyes, soaking his uniform. 45 seconds. Maybe less. Roy pulls his knife, a standard-issue tactical blade, serrated edge, built for seatbelts and rope. He approaches King slowly, hands raised. "Easy, big fella. I'm here to help." "Easy now." King's head snaps toward the sound. The wool blindfold is crusted with dried saliva and sweat. The lion's nostrils flare, drinking in the scent of smoke and stranger and threat. A growl builds in that massive chest, not anger, but terror. Roy takes another step. King explodes. The roar is apocalyptic, a sound that belongs to African savannas and ancient nightmares, not Utah highways. It vibrates through Roy's ribcage, rattles his teeth, turns his blood to ice water. King thrashes against the pole, claws raking the air, 450 pounds of muscle trying to tear free from invisible threats. The rope snaps taut. Prince's collar jerks backward. The cub's front paws leave the ground. His mouth opens in a silent scream as the leather bites into his throat, cutting off air, crushing his windpipe. No! Roy lunges forward, blade extended. The cub's eyes roll back. White. Unconscious. King stops thrashing. Goes rigid, as if he can hear his son dying. Roy's blade is an inch from the rope when his radio crackles to life. Static. Then dispatch's voice, tinny and urgent. "Unit 47, be advised. Suspect vehicle has reversed course. He's heading back your way, Roy." "Wrong way on the highway." Repeat. "Wrong way, high speed, your direction." Roy's hand freezes. The villain is coming back. Behind him, flames lick at the base of the telephone pole. In front of him, a blindfolded lion holds impossibly still, sensing something worse than fire approaching. And in Roy's hand, the knife hovers over a rope that connects life to death, to vengeance. Then, through the smoke and heat shimmer, Roy sees it. Headlights. Coming fast. On the wrong side of the road. Roy is trapped in a geometry of death. Front. A blindfolded lion, 450 pounds of apex predator stripped of sight and reason, muscles coiled tight as steel cable. Back. The brush fire has closed to 50 yards. The heat is no longer uncomfortable. It's suffocating. Roy can feel his exposed skin beginning to blister. The flames sound like freight trains now, consuming oxygen, consuming earth, consuming time. Incoming, headlights slicing through the smoke. The black sedan. The villain. Coming to finish what cruelty started. 3 seconds to choose. Roy chooses the cub. The blade slices through the rope connecting Prince's collar to the death trap. The hemp parts with a sound like a breath released. The cub collapses onto the scorched earth, gasping, free. But his eyes never leave his father. Now the hard part. Roy moves to King's side. The lion's breathing is shallow, rapid, textbook heatstroke. Another 5 minutes and organ failure becomes irreversible. Roy unscrews his water bottle with shaking hands and pours the lukewarm contents directly onto King's nose. The effect is instant. King's head jerks toward the sensation. Distracted, confused. For 3 precious seconds, the thrashing stops. Roy saws at the rope around King's neck. The hemp is thick, maritime grade, designed to hold cargo, designed to endure. Roy's knife bites into the fibers, one agonizing strand at a time. Sweat pours into his eyes. His hands slip. The heat is unbearable now. He can hear the flames crackling, that specific sound that means the fire is close enough to see you. The rope is halfway through when King smells the smoke again. The lion's body goes rigid. A growl builds. Easy, big guy. Easy. The final strands snap. King is loose, but still blind, still panicked. The lion staggers sideways, disoriented, massive paws scraping asphalt. Roy reaches for the wool blindfold, soaked dark, Velcro straps barely holding. Tires scream against asphalt. The black sedan fishtails to a stop 30 feet away. The driver's door flies open. A man emerges, late 40s, lean, wearing aviator sunglasses and a tactical vest over a sweat-stained dress shirt. In his right hand, a suppressed Glock 19, matte black, professional. This isn't some amateur. This is a handler. The villain's voice cuts through the roar of flames. Step away from the asset, pig. Roy freezes. His sidearm is holstered. The villain's gun is raised. The fire is 20 yards behind them now, close enough that Roy can feel individual waves of heat rolling over his back like incoming artillery. The geometry shifts. The villain is in front. Roy is behind King. The fire flanks them both. And King, blindfolded, overheated, traumatized, stands between the armed men like a 450-pound question mark. Roy's fingers find the Velcro straps of the blindfold. The villain's finger moves to the trigger. I said, step away. Roy rips the blindfold off. The Velcro tears free with a sound like fabric screaming. The wool falls away. And King's eyes open. They're amber, flecked with gold, pupils blown wide from darkness and terror. But there's something else there. Something that transcends animal intelligence. Recognition. Memory. King's massive head turns toward the villain. The lion's lips peel back. And somewhere deep in that enormous chest, a sound begins to build. Not a roar, but something older. Something that kings make when they remember who hurt their children. The villain's gun hand begins to shake. King's eyes adjust to the blinding desert sun. He sees the fire, orange and writhing, close enough to singe his mane. He sees Roy, the stranger who cut the rope, who freed him from suffocation. But then he hears it. That voice. The voice that commanded the shocks. The voice that laughed when Prince screamed. The voice that belongs to the man who turned love into a weapon. The villain raises his gun. His finger tightens on the trigger. I'm taking back what's mine. Roy dives. His body covers Prince's small golden form, just as the muzzle flash. King launches. 450 pounds of ancestral fury explodes across 30 feet of scorched highway in 3 bounding strides. The villain pivots, trying to retreat into the sedan, but he's too slow. King doesn't bite. He doesn't maul. He slams into the driver's side door with the force of a wrecking ball. Metal screams. The door crumples inward like aluminum foil. The villain's gun flies from his hand, skittering across asphalt. He scrambles onto the hood of his car, screaming, arms raised in useless defense. King plants himself between the cowering man and the cubs. A living wall. A father. Roy's service weapon clears leather. Freeze. Don't move. The villain doesn't move. Can't move. King's amber eyes hold him pinned more effectively than any handcuffs. Roy scoops Prince into his arms and whistles. A sharp, urgent sound. King's massive head turns. Those intelligent eyes meet Roy's. An understanding passes between species. Trust me, King follows. Roy herds them into his reinforced K9 cruiser, just as flames consume the telephone pole behind them. The cub curls into his father's mane. King's breathing begins to slow. Roy radios for backup, gives coordinates for the villain, and drives. Through smoke. Through heat shimmer. Through the impossible. 3 weeks later, the sanctuary sprawls across 40 acres of protected wilderness. No cages. No performances. No begging. Roy stands at the observation deck, watching King and Prince in the afternoon sun. The cub is playing, actually playing, pouncing on his father's tail while King pretends to sleep. No collar. No shocks. No fear. Prince stops mid-pounce and looks toward the deck. Those amber eyes find Roy's. The cub doesn't rise on hind legs. Doesn't clasp his paws together. He just looks, and somehow, Roy understands the message perfectly. Thank you. Roy touches 2 fingers to his forehead, a small salute. King lifts his head, meeting Roy's gaze with something that transcends gratitude. Recognition between 2 fathers who refuse to let cruelty win. The fire burned the evidence of the trap, but it forged a bond that can never be broken. Roy went looking for a criminal, but on that burning highway, he found a king.